Welcome. I'm really glad you're here. Whether you've had a long day or just need something gentle to drift off to, this story was made to keep you company. So get cozy, let your thoughts soften, and if you can find it in your heart, we kindly ask you, leave a like, subscribe, and tell us where and what time you are listening to this story at. We'd love to hear what corner of the world our stories have traveled to. Now, close your eyes. You're safe here, and let sleep find you. Let's begin. You never mean to stay open so late, but the light in your shop has a way of lingering soft, honey warm, curling like steam into the night air through the parted door. The townspeople say it glows differently than other places, as if dusk doesn't end here, but stretches itself out just a little longer, like a cat turning slow in the sun. The shop is small, just 2 rooms wide and tucked between a shuttered tailor and an old stationery store with paper that smells faintly of time. There's a brass bell on your door that chimes politely, even when the wind so much as sighs, and the sign above the window, hand-painted and curling with ivy, reads simply, "Glow Whisper." You didn't name it for cleverness. You named it for how the candles speak when they're lit, how their scent fills the air not like a statement, but like a memory you almost forgot you loved. The floorboards creak like old friends when you walk across them, and every shelf is lined with quiet. Not silence, but quiet. The kind of hush you find in an old bookshop, or in the stillness after someone brushes a strand of hair behind your ear without saying a word. That's what you sell here. Not just candles, but moments. They're not magical, at least not in any way you can explain, but your customers come in with eyes rimmed with sleeplessness or hearts sagging with unspoken things, and they leave just a little softer. Some say your candles bring dreams. Others claim they remember things they didn't know they'd lost. You never promise them anything, but when no one's watching, when the door is locked and the moon has risen high and gentle over the sea beyond town, you light one for yourself. Tonight, it's lavender and smoke, named the hour between. And tonight, like every other night, it does nothing. No dreams, no visions. Just you, the slow drift of purple light, and the hush of waves against a distant shore you haven't walked in months. You live in the back of the shop, in a room the size of a sigh. A narrow bed, a writing desk, a small window with lace curtains and a salt-stiffened breeze. You keep your hair in a loose braid, and your sweater's one size too large, as if that will help you feel less empty when the night grows deep. Sleep has never come easily, not for you. But tonight, something strange happens. You are dusting the backroom shelves half out of boredom, half out of that old, restless ache in your hands when your fingers brush a candle you don't remember placing there. It's small, wrapped in faded paper, the wax a muted ivory tinged with rose. There's no scent label, no price tag, no name, just a handwritten tag tied with thin twine. Yours, if you remember. Your breath catches. You turn the candle in your hands. The handwriting is familiar. It's yours, but older, Messier, almost like it was written while crying. You blink. The candle stays still. You should ignore it, put it back, forget it. But you don't. You take it to your room, set it beside your bed, and sit on the edge of the mattress, watching the wick. You hesitate, and then you strike a match. The flame blooms like a heartbeat. The scent hits you all at on pavement, warm bread, the faintest touch of something floral but wild, not perfumed, real, like a memory hiding behind your ribs. Your eyelids grow heavier than usual, and for once you lie down without tossing the blankets off a dozen times. For once, the quiet in the room feels like it's holding you, not pressing down. And for the first time in a very long time, you sleep, and you dream. There is a cafe in the rain, A figure at the window with a book in hand, shoulders hunched like he's protecting something fragile inside himself. You can't see his face, but something about him makes your chest ache in a way you don't have words for. He turns, as if sensing you, smiles, not like a stranger, like someone who has known your voice for years. You try to speak, but the words are just water. You reach for him, but the candle flickers. You wake with your heart thudding in your ears. The flame still burns gently beside you. You sit in the silence, staring at it. You should blow it out, but you don't. You lie back down, and for the first time, you whisper into the dark, "Who are you?" And though there is no answer, somewhere inside, you think he might already know. The candle is still burning when you wake. Its flame doesn't flicker, it sways gently, rhythmically, like a boat rocking in calm water. You watch it for a long time, not moving, not blinking, not breathing too loud in case it notices. There's a scent clinging to your pillow, as though the dream never really ended. Rain on concrete, the breath of baking, and something else you can't name, but that makes your throat tighten, as if you've swallowed a song you used to hum as a child. You sit up slowly. The sky beyond your window is still dark, that deep velvet color just before morning dares to appear. Somewhere, gulls are crying in the distance, restless. Maybe they've been dreaming too. You wrap your arms around your knees and wait. You don't know what for, but something inside you whispers, "Again." So you light the candle the next night, and the next, and each time you do, your dreams return not like broken shards or scattered pictures, but like chapters of something half remembered, a story without a title, a name you can't pronounce but long to say aloud. Always, he's there. Sometimes in the cafe, sometimes beneath a cracked umbrella that looks like it's been stitched back together by moonlight. Once, on a train platform, as mist curls around his boots, you try to speak to him, but the words never come. He always smiles first. And in each dream, there's a detail that makes you sit up in bed afterward and press your fingers to your lips. The way he cradles a book in one hand like it's breakable, the way he listens before he speaks, the way he sometimes looks past you as though remembering something just out of reach. You start keeping a notebook. You never were. The journaling type words felt too heavy to carry around after hours in the shop, but now, each morning, you wake and scribble everything you remember. Black coat, green mug, laughs like the sea pulling back over stones. You draw his hands, then erase them, then draw them again. You don't tell anyone. Of course not. The townspeople already whisper about your candle show. They're strange, how they do things. You've heard the murmurs, seen the looks. You don't mind. People believe what they need to believe. But this feels different. This candle isn't for anyone else. It's yours. And still, you don't understand why. One night, you try not to light it. You fold your hands in your lap and stare out the window, watching as the sky sinks into shadow. But the ache starts in your ribs. Not pain exactly, more like longing dressed in silence, the kind that wraps around your lungs and sits beside you without speaking. So you light it again. This time, the dream changes. You're in the shop, but it's different. The walls are the same, the shelves, the bell above the door, but everything glows. The candlelight spills like spilled cream over old wood and glass. And there he is across the counter. He's laughing at something you said. He's holding something in his hand, something small and flickering. You lean forward to see. It's a candle. Your candle. The one with the tag, yours, if you remember. He reads it aloud. Looks up, says your name. And that's when you wake up. Your heart is racing, and your room is cold, and your candle has burned itself out, nothing left but wax pooled at the bottom of the glass. You stare at the wick, you touch it. It's cold. For the first time, you feel afraid. Afraid you've lost whatever spell had been keeping these dreams alive. The next morning, you don't open the shop. You brew tea. You sit on the steps behind the building and listen to the sea crack against the rocks below. You try to breathe in the salt, let it anchor you. But the dreams have left a hollow inside your chest, and the tea goes cold in your hand. Later that afternoon, you find yourself in the back room. You don't remember walking there. You're searching, not sure what for. Your fingers trail over jars and tins, old tools and folded linens, and then you see it, a wooden crate you haven't touched in years, shoved behind an unused wax press. Inside it are candles, wrapped, tagged, forgotten. You unfold one at random. It smells like cinnamon and frost. The tag says, "Winter, when you were brave." Another, "The morning you changed your mind." Another, "December in the library." You recognize your handwriting, but not the candles. You press your fingers to your temple. Try to remember. Were these commissions, leftovers, dreams? You don't know. You don't want to know. But one candle in the bottom of the crate catches your breath in your throat. It's wrapped in deep green paper. The wax is soft gray, like fog, and the tag simply says, "Rain with you." You hold it to your nose, and there it is. The scent from your dreams. Bread, rain, that impossible memory of belonging. You light it on instinct. And when the flame flickers, it feels like an answer. The bell over your door rings that evening. The candle still burns behind the counter. You almost don't hear it at first. You're in the middle of blending a new scent something with sandalwood and rose hips. But then the bell rings again, and you blink, half believing you're still dreaming. He stands in the doorway, soaked through, umbrella dripping, hair plastered to his forehead. It's him. Not just a him, the man from your dreams. Except there's real, and he looks just as surprised to see you as you are to see him. He begins, eyes flicking to the shelves, to the soft golden light around you. "I think I've been here before, but not really." Your hands tremble. He steps inside slowly, cautiously, as if afraid one wrong move will send you vanishing into smoke. "I found this," he says, reaching into his coat. He pulls out a candle. "Your candle. Rain with you. I bought it in a little shop in Gangneung," he explains. "The woman said it was mislabeled, but when I lit it," he looks at you, not just your face but you. "I dreamed about this place, about you." You forget how to speak. All you can do is stare at the candle in his hands and feel time folding over itself like soft fabric. You're not sure how long you stand there, the two of you suspended in a silence that feels thick with recognition. Finally, he speaks again. "I know this sounds strange, but do you make candles that remember?" The words hit you like a wave. You open your mouth, then close it, then finally whisper, "Sometimes." He steps forward. The bell chimes behind him as the door swings shut. Outside, the rain begins to fall harder. Inside, the candlelight dances, and something in your chest begins to warm tentatively, impossibly, like the first glow of a match in the dark. You don't light the candle tonight. It's there, in its place on the counter half burned now, the wick curled like a sleeping question mark. You glance at it more than once as the afternoon unravels into evening, but your fingers never reach for the matchbox. Not because you're afraid, because you're waiting. The dream, the man, the impossible arrival, it all lingers like the scent of something spilled. You keep finding traces of it on your skin, the ghost of it in your breath. And though your brain keeps asking for logic, for answers, something deeper inside you, older than your doubts, asks for stillness. So you leave the candle untouched. And when the bell above the door chimes at precisely 5 minutes past dusk, You're not surprised. You're just awake. He stands there again, the man from your dreams, this time less damp but no less tentative. His coat is drier, though his hair is still ruffled in that sea-swept way that makes you want to reach up and smooth it down without asking. You don't. Of course you don't. You offer a soft smile instead. It's the only thing you trust not to tremble. He smiles back, just barely. I wasn't sure you'd be open again, he says, stepping inside. You want to ask if he means the shop or you, but you say nothing. You nod once, gently, as if agreeing with a question not yet asked. He looks around, not like a customer, not like a stranger, like someone looking for a memory misplaced in a drawer. I had another dream, he says after a beat, running his hand through his hair. Same cafe, same smell, the bread, the rain. He pauses. You were there. You fold your hands in front of you. I know. He looks up sharply. You shrug. So was I. There's a silence between you, not empty but full, weighted, like it's waiting to bloom into something else. He steps closer to the counter, where the candle still rests, wax pooled around its base like a forgotten hour. He doesn't reach for it, but he watches it the way someone might watch an old friend from a distance, uncertain whether to wave. I don't know how to explain this, he says, quieter now. You don't have to. That makes him laugh, the kind of laugh that doesn't quite escape fully, as if it's holding on to a bit of sorrow. I've been trying to rationalize all of it. I even looked up. Scent-triggered memory therapy, lucid dreaming, shared hallucination, all that nonsense. You say nothing. You know better than to chase logic in places like this. I think I came here before, he says suddenly, eyes narrowing, scanning the room. Years ago, I was traveling for work. I remember a storm. I remember a candle I bought at a night market, but it's all foggy, like someone told me a story about it and I just believed them. You exhale through your nose. What do you remember now? He doesn't answer right away. Instead, he looks at you, really looks, like he's trying to see something underneath your skin. I remember you. Your heart kicks once, then settles. I don't know your name, he adds quickly, apologetically, as if he's broken something delicate. But I remember the feeling. You tilt your head. What feeling? His voice is so soft you almost miss it. Coming home. You look away, not because you're shy but because your eyes have started to sting, and you don't want to ruin the quiet. I'm Ha-Yoon, you whisper. He smiles, a slow blooming thing. Ji-won. You let the name settle between you. It suits him. Soft edges, thoughtful vowels. The kind of name you'd write at the top of a letter, over and over again, just to see how it looks in your handwriting. Would you like to smell something? You ask. He nods. You turn away, letting the silence carry you as you move through the shelves. You don't reach for the usual blends. Not tonight. Tonight you follow instinct. You find a jar near the back sandalwood, a hint of orange rind, and something elusive you added once and forgot to catalog. You lift the lid, inhale once, then offer it to him. He breathes it in, closes his eyes. Cafes on rainy days, he says almost immediately, pages curling in the steam, and someone humming, something I can't quite place. He opens his eyes. You? You nod. He breathes in again, deeper this time, as if trying to memorize something no one can write down. Do your candles always do this? He asks. Not always, you say, but sometimes. For some people. What makes them work? You smile faintly. That's the wrong question. He raises an eyebrow. The right question, you say softly, is why the candle chose you. He leans against the counter, arms folded, gaze still fixed on you like a constellation he can't name. So it's not magic. No, you reply, just memory dressed up in flame. He smiles. And scent. You shrug. Scent is just memory's handwriting. You see something shift in his expression, like he's decided something he hasn't said aloud. Do you have a candle that remembers everything? He asks. You hesitate. I don't think anyone really wants everything, you reply. He doesn't argue. Instead, he reaches into his coat pocket again. This time, he pulls out a slip of folded paper, creased at the edges. He places it gently on the counter between you. I found this with the candle, he says. I thought maybe it was packaging, but you unfold it slowly. It's a note, in your handwriting, but older, wetter, as if it had been written with a shaking hand. You recognize the loop of your letters, but you don't remember writing them. If you find this, it means the candle worked. I'm sorry I made you forget. I didn't know what else to do. I promised I'd find you again. I promised I'd help you remember. You always said the scent of rain made you feel safe, so I made one for you, just in case. No name, no date. You read it twice, then once more. G1 watches you carefully. I think you wrote it, he says. For me. You nod slowly. I think I did too. He doesn't press. He waits. And in his waiting, you feel something unravel gently, slowly, like a ribbon tugged loose from a braid. Do you want to come back tomorrow, you ask? I was hoping you'd say that. You don't light the candle that night, but you sleep anyway. And in your dreams, he's there, not in the cafe, not in the rain, but here, in your shop, laughing at something you've just said, his hand brushing yours as he leans too close to smell the latest blend. No memory, no past lives, just now, just the quiet hope of a beginning. You keep telling yourself you're not waiting, that you're simply opening the shop like always, dusting the same old corners, lighting the same quiet candles whose flames don't ask questions. You tell yourself you're following your usual rhythm, the bell on the door, the warm steam of the kettle, the soft clink of teacups on saucers. But beneath it all, your chest is tuned to one single note. G1 might come back today. And when the door chimes just after the sun disappears behind the sea, and you look up to find him there, damp curls at his temple, scarf in one hand, a hesitant smile on his face, you realize how loudly you'd been hoping. Evening, he says, like it's the most natural thing in the world to be here again. Evening, you echo just as softly. He stands in the doorway for a moment longer, then steps inside. There's something different about him tonight, less uncertainty, more presence. He still moves carefully, but there's a steadiness to it now, as though some piece of him, long adrift, has begun to find the shape of shore. You offer him a cup of tea, and he accepts. Chamomile with orange blossom. He closes his eyes when he drinks it. I used to hate chamomile, he murmurs, but this. He doesn't finish the sentence. He doesn't need to. You sip from your own cup and let the silence settle around you. Not heavy, not strained, just warm, like a blanket laid across the lap of conversation. I tried something new, you say, nodding toward the back shelves. A blend for sleep. I called it Late Train to Somewhere. He smiles at that. What does it smell like? Leather seats, ink on fingertips, cold air coming through a cracked window. He hums in appreciation. You're not just a candle maker, you're a storyteller. You tilt your head. Candles are stories. Some people just don't know how to read them. He looks at you then, not in the casual way people look when they're just being polite, but like he's trying to memorize the angles of your thoughts. It makes your pulse move differently, slower and sharper at the same time. You pretend to rearrange a few jars on the counter to steady yourself. I had another dream, he says gently. Your fingers pause. You don't look at him, but you listen with your whole body. This time we were outside. A garden at night, paper lanterns in the trees. You were wearing something blue. I remember the way the light moved across your face. You swallow. I remember feeling like I was about to tell you something important, he continues, but I didn't get the chance. The candle went out. You finally meet his eyes. And what did it feel like, you ask? The thing you were about to say? He considers. Like coming up for air, he says quietly, like I'd been holding my breath through lifetimes. You both sit with that for a moment. Eventually, he pulls something from his coat pocket, a notebook leather bound, slightly worn at the edges. He opens it and flips to a page he's marked with a bit of twine. I started writing them down, he says. The dreams, the pieces I remember. He turns the notebook toward you. Your breath catches. There, in black ink, is a sketch of your shop. Not how it looks now, but how it once was, shelves arranged differently. A round clock above the register that hasn't worked in years. Your old sign-in book resting beside a teacup painted with violets. You haven't used that teacup in almost a decade. You're not even sure where it is. How did you start? He shakes his head. I didn't know I remembered it until I drew it. You touch the edge of the page as though it might dissolve. I think we've done this before, he says. You look at him. Not this shop, not this exact life, but this. He gestures to the space between you. I think we found each other before, and forgotten, and found each other again. It shouldn't make sense, but it does. There's something in you that resists the idea and something else, deeper and quieter, that has always believed it. What makes you so sure, you ask, voice low. He smiles softly. You said something the first time we truly met. You said, if memory is a house, scent is the key, and I think I've been unlocking old doors ever since. You stare down at the counter. I've made hundreds of candles, you say, mostly to yourself. Some I name, some I don't, but the ones that whisper back to me, ones that dream, I never put those on the shelf. I keep them in the back. Jiwon nods slowly. I think I had one, he says, long before I knew your name. You glance up. There was a candle, he continues, purchased from a woman in another town. She said it had been misplaced. I kept it in a drawer for years. I never lit it until 2 weeks ago, the night I found the note. You remember the tag, yours, if you remember. I think I wrote that note, you say. I think you did too, he replies. You don't speak for a long while after that. The room grows dimmer. The candles on the wall flicker lower. Somewhere outside, the rain begins again soft, like a whisper on rooftops. Do you think we ever remembered, you ask? Jiwon lifts his gaze. What do you mean? In a previous life? In another version of us? Do you think we remembered in time? He thinks about it. I think we always remember just enough to try again. You nod. He rises, slowly. Not like he's leaving, but like he's about to do something that matters. He walks to one of the shelves, runs a hand gently over the rows, fingers pausing here and there. He seems to be listening not to the names, but to something quieter, something only he can hear. Finally, he picks up a candle. It's in a squat glass jar, the label handwritten in your older script. He reads it aloud, a place between stars. You remember that one. You made it during a stretch of long, sleepless nights and aching dreams that left you crying in your sleep. He turns it in his hands, then looks up at you. Can I take this one home? You nod. I think it's yours, you say. He smiles again, that same familiar warmth that once existed only in your dreams. He pays in quiet bills and lingering glances. The bell above the door chimes once as he leaves. You don't light anything after he's gone. You don't write in your journal. You simply sit in the middle of your candlelit shop and let the stillness hold you like a remembered song. The next day begins like mist. Not in a hurry, not sure of where it's going. It just is soft, silver gray, wrapping around the corners of your shop windows and making the world feel a little smaller, a little quieter. You rise before the light settles, pad barefoot through your tiny apartment, and listen to the silence that exists between waves. There's a stillness in you today, but it isn't hollow. It's more like a deep breath waiting to be let out. You move through your morning like a ritual, boil the kettle, steep the tea, brush your hair, light one soft-scented candle by the front door, not one of the remembering ones, just something simple. Orange peel and linen, a placeholder for light. The memory of Jiwon lingers like a perfume on your skin. Not the sharp newness of a crush, not the burning heat of sudden infatuation. No, this is something else, something slower, something familiar. A recognition you feel not in your mind, but in the quiet place behind your ribs. He said he'd see you again soon. You didn't ask when. You didn't need to. So today, you let the door stay open longer. And in the meantime, you search. It begins innocently organizing shelves, rearranging labels, but then you find an unlabeled jar behind a crate of sea salt wax, and that leads you to a forgotten tin box tucked behind a cabinet leg. And before long, you're on your knees in the storeroom, reaching deep into shadows that smell like cloves and thyme. You find candles you don't remember making. Some are tagged, others not. A few have smudged writing your writing, always yours, even when the ink trembles like a heartbeat. One says, "Don't forget the garden." Another reads, "He promised twice." A third is marked only with a date, November 19th. Your fingers tremble, just slightly, as you run them along the cool glass. You don't remember making them, not clearly. You almost remember, and maybe that's worse. You line them up along the long back table, creating a strange constellation of unnamed grief and half-familiar longing, each one a scent trapped in wax, each one a doorway to something you've forgotten to mourn. You think about Jiwon's notebook, the details he drew, the dream of your shop the way it used to be. He saw things you've let yourself forget, or maybe things you chose to lose. What did I do to forget you? You whisper the question like a prayer, and then, as if summoned by that quiet ache, your gaze falls on something small in the back corner, hidden beneath an old velvet cloth. It's a mold, a candle mold, but not one you've used in years. It's shaped like a paper crane. The breath leaves your chest in one long exhale. You remember this one. You made it only once. Years ago. You were sick at the time and nothing serious, just worn down by insomnia and sadness and too many words caught in your throat. You'd been dreaming of flying things, of wings that folded delicately, of hands, not your own, teaching you how to fold paper into something beautiful. You thought it was just a dream. You thought it was just you, but now you're not sure. You lift the mold and press your fingers along its ridged edges. There's wax dust clinging to the grooves, pale as old snow. Your hands remember how to hold it, how to pour. You should put it back, but your heart has already decided. You spend the rest of the afternoon in a strange, sacred trance-melting wax, mixing scent, preparing wick and thread. You blend something soft and hard to name, a touch of clove, a whisper of rice flour, the faintest hint of library dust and candle smoke. And when you pour it into the crane mold, you feel like you've set something back in motion, something you paused. A long time ago, the candle cools as the sun lowers, and as evening bleeds into gold and blue, you set it gently on the table near the front, beside the candle Jiwon chose the night before, a place between stars. They look right together, like they've been waiting side by side all along. He doesn't come that evening. The door stays quiet, the bell doesn't ring, the rain doesn't fall. You sip your tea alone and stare at the crane-shaped candle as it rests unlit. Its edges catch the soft light like folded wings. You don't light it. Not yet. You want to wait until he's there. You don't know why, only that it feels like it belongs to both of you, and maybe that means it will remember what you can't. That night, your dreams take a different turn. No cafe, no umbrella. You are standing on a pier, barefoot, the wind lifting your hair. The sky is the color of ash and violet. water below silent as glass. He's there, G1. He stands across from you, hands in his pockets, his eyes full of things unsaid. You forgot, he says. You nod. I asked you not to, he says. I know. He walks closer, gently, carefully, as if approaching something fragile. Why did you leave me there? He asks, and your heart breaks in the dream. You reach for him, but your fingers pass through like smoke. I didn't mean to, you whisper. I never meant to forget. His face softens. He touches your cheek, and this time you feel it warmth, realness. I left a light for you, he says. You wake with tears in your ears and your pillow damp beneath your cheek. The morning smells of something familiar, and you realize, as you sit up slowly, that you had lit a candle before you fell asleep, but not the one you thought. You walk to your bedside, and there it is, the paper crane, still warm, still glowing. You don't remember lighting it, but it burned for you anyway. The candle still glows when morning comes. Not a flame anymore, just the faint warmth left behind, like a secret pressed into the palm of your hand. You sit on the edge of your bed, staring at the cooling wax shaped like folded wings. The crane holds its form perfectly, as if it's listening. You don't remember lighting it. You're almost sure you didn't, but it burned, and that, somehow, feels like a message. You carry it into the front of the shop, careful not to let it tilt or wobble. You place it beside the others, beside a place between stars, beside rain with you, beside the dozens of nameless memories you've begun pulling from the back room. Your shop is starting to feel less like a business and more like a story you forgot you were telling. You don't open the door right away. Instead, you brew a pot of tea-white peony this time, light and quietly floral, and settle into the little armchair behind the counter. There's a notebook in your lap, your dream journal. You flip to a clean page and write 3 words. He left a light. The rest comes more slowly, like petals unfurling. You sketch the pier, the wind, his eyes, the feeling in your chest when he said you'd forgotten. You write it all down, even the parts that ache, especially those. And then you stop. Your fingers hover above the page, because suddenly you remember something else. Not from the dream, not from a candle, but from before. Before you owned the shop, before the long nights, before the forgetting. You remember a train station. You remember a bench, and a boy with a notebook, and a paper crane between you folded from the corner of a weathered book. You remember laughing, and you remember him saying, "If I ever forget this, write it down for me." It's mid-afternoon when the bell above the door chimes, and you know before you even look up that it's him. Jiwon. His coat is dusted with sea spray. His curls are more unruly than usual, as if he's been walking for a long time, but his eyes, they're clear, focused, the kind of eyes that have seen something important. He steps inside slowly, holding something in his hand. "I found it," he says before you can speak. You rise. "Found what?" He holds it out. It's a sealed envelope, thick cream paper, a little crinkled at the edges, a wax seal in the center faded gray, stamped with the faint impression of a paper crane. "I was going through my things," he says, voice careful. "Things from years ago. A box I haven't opened in ages. This was inside." You reach for it, your fingers brush his. The seal is cracked, but still mostly intact. "I think it's from you," he says. Your heart stutters. You open it slowly, the wax gives easily. The paper inside is worn soft from time, folded twice. Your handwriting. No question, but not recent. Older, uncertain, raw. You read it aloud without meaning to, the words leaving your lips like smoke from an old fire. "If you're reading this, it means I failed. It means I forgot again, or you did, or both of us. You swallow. We've done this before. We always find each other, but we never seem to hold on long enough. Maybe memory isn't built to carry love like this. Maybe we're asking too much of our hearts. Your vision blurs. You blink once, twice. But if you're holding this, it means the candle worked, or the dream did, or whatever piece of the world still listens to us decided to give us another chance. Please, Jiwon, find me. Before I forget again. Your voice breaks. There's a final line, scribbled, rushed, almost desperate. Your name still makes my hands tremble. You lower the page slowly. The silence between you is vast but not empty. It's filled with everything you didn't know you were allowed to feel. Jiwon doesn't speak. He just steps closer and reaches into his coat one more time. He pulls out a notebook, not the sketchbook from before, a different one, smaller, cloth-bound, the kind of thing people use for secrets. He opens it and holds it out. You see your name written over and over again in shaky, careful handwriting, hundreds of times. Not just recent, some faded with age, some written with different pens, different pressures, different moods. I've been trying to remember you for a long time, he says quietly. You take the notebook. You don't open it again. You just hold it, like it's something sacred. That evening, you close the shop early, not because you're tired, because something is changing, something important. You light only one candle, not one from the front, not one for dreams. You light the paper crane, and you and Jiwon sit on the floor, shoulder to shoulder, legs crossed like children. You don't speak, not at first. You just sit and watch the way the flame moves through the folds. And then he begins to talk about the little bookstore in Gangneung where he found a candle in a dusty box labeled unknown origin, about a woman who handed it to him and said, I think this is looking for someone, about a dream that wouldn't let him go, a cafe, a garden, a hand in his, the feeling of rain between memories, about the moment he woke up and whispered your name without knowing why. You tell him everything too, about the sleepless nights, the forgotten shelves, the scent that pulled you from rest like a voice through the fog, about the note you don't remember writing but know you meant, and about the ache of knowing someone was missing long before he ever walked through your door. By the time you're done speaking, the candle has melted into a delicate pool of wax. The crane is gone, but the memory is not. Ji-won reaches for your hand, not like a grand gesture, not like a confession, just a thread tied between you. You let your fingers curl into his, and in that moment, something inside you, the part that was always listening, finally exhales. In the days that follow, everything begins to slow down without stopping. Time, it seems, has started to move differently inside your little candle shop. The clocks still tick, the teacups still rattle slightly when set down, the gulls still cry outside the windows, but now there's a softness to it all, like the world has been padded with wool. Like every breath you take now echoes in the place between one life and the next. Jiwon comes every day, not always at the same hour, not always with something to say, but he comes. Sometimes he brings tea, sometimes he brings sketches of half-remembered dreams. Sometimes he just walks in and sits beside you, close enough that your elbows brush, and the air between you feels warmer than candlelight. You never ask why he comes, and he never asks why you wait. Some things don't need questions. Some things are just remembered. On the fourth morning, you wake from a dream that doesn't belong to you. You're sure of it. You're standing in a bookstore, not your own. The walls are dark green and covered in handwritten notebook recommendations, scribbled thoughts, lines of poetry. There's a small reading table in the back, and you're sitting at it, but you're not you. Not entirely. You feel taller, broader. Your hands are different, calloused, larger. There's a girl across from you, a girl with ink on her fingers and a locket around her neck. She's laughing. You don't know what she's laughing at, but it sounds like the beginning of something you've waited years to hear again. Then, just as she reaches for your hand, you wake. You stare at the ceiling for a long time. Then you whisper his name, and you wonder if he dreamed it too. That afternoon, Jiwon brings a photo. It's old, curled at the corners, slightly water-stained, a black and white image of a train platform with a single bench. You stare at it, something inside you tightening. I found it in an old box of my grandmother's, he says. She traveled constantly. I used to look through her albums when I was little. He pauses. I don't remember this picture being in there before. You take it from him, your fingertips brushing his as you do. The bench, the railing, the blurred movement of a departing train. And there, sitting alone on the bench, is a young woman holding a paper crane. You can't see her face, but you know it's you. You don't ask how. Some things are beyond explanation. You hang the photo in the back room, right above the candle station, next to a mirror that hasn't reflected anything you recognize in years. That evening, you light a candle with no name. It's one you found weeks ago but never dared to burn. The scent is soft, but strange like quiet snow and lost handwriting. It fills the shop slowly, curling through the shelves, settling into the cracks of the floorboards like it knows the way home. Jiwon closes his eyes when he smells it. I know this one, he says. I just don't know how. You don't answer. You're watching him too carefully, and it feels like he's remembering something right in front of you. He opens his eyes again. There was a house, he says, a small one, with white shutters. It smelled like this. You used to sit by the window while I read aloud. Your heart flutters, not with surprise, with recognition. You remember the same house, but in your version of the dream, he was the one sitting by the window. You begin comparing notes, not on purpose. It happens slowly. A sentence here, a sketch there, a dream you both had that ends the same way at the same bridge or cafe or echoing train station. You start a second notebook, one you keep between you. A ledger of parallel dreams, a catalog of familiar ghosts. On page 7 you write, he remembered the sound of my laugh before he remembered my name. On page 10 he writes, she always found me in the garden, even when the door was locked. Sometimes the overlap is eerie, sometimes it's comforting, and sometimes, just sometimes, it makes you ache with a kind of longing you didn't know you had words for. Not a longing for him, a longing for the version of you who already knew him, who never had to wonder if she'd forget again. One night, you dream in flickers, like film reel stuttering, fast, then slow again, grainy around the edges. The sound fades in and out like someone playing an old record in another room. You see Jiwon again, but not as he is now. He's older, or younger, or simply different. He wears a wool coat and glasses, and he's writing something in a journal with the same cover as the one he carries now. You're there, toe-wearing gloves and a ribbon in your hair. You're arguing, gently, lovingly. He's asking you not to leave. You're promising you'll remember. You wake with a tear sliding sideways across your cheek, and when you turn on the light, Jiwon is already sitting in the chair beside your bed, holding his own journal open in his lap. I had it too, he says. You nod. What page? He shows you. It's a drawing. 2 people on a bridge. One reaching, one already walking away. I think that was us, he says. Once. You reach for his hand. You squeeze it once, and he doesn't let go. The next day, the weather changes. The sea grows restless. The wind lifts with that strange electricity that always precedes a shift. And in your shop, things begin to stir. A candle on the third shelf begins to crack softly. A label peels back to reveal a name you don't remember writing. If you're looking, I'm still here. Jiwon finds a tiny key tucked behind a row of wax seal stamps. You discover a letter inside a drawer you swore you emptied years ago. It's signed only with the letter H. Everything feels expectant, as if the shop knows something you don't, as if it's remembering too. That night you sleep beside him, not with anything spoken, not with hands or mouths or hearts breaking open, just the quiet joining of bodies under a blanket, two people curled toward each other, two people who once forgot, two people who are learning how to stay. You fall asleep with his breath in your hair, and you dream. You dream of paper cranes flying over a starlit garden. You dream of letters written in wax. You dream of promises that hold even after memory fades. It begins with snow, not the kind that drifts and dances and melts before it lands, but the quiet kind, the kind that comes while you sleep and wraps the whole world in silence. You wake to white roofs and shuttered windows, to muffled footsteps on cobblestone and the distant creak of a shovel against stone. You don't remember the forecast saying anything about snow, but it's here. And somehow you're not surprised. The sea is hushed, the wind holds its breath, and your little candle shop glows like a story being whispered beneath a blanket. Jiwon is already downstairs when you step into the front room, wrapped in his coat, cheeks pink from the cold. I didn't want to wake you, he says, but the snow felt like a message. You nod. You feel it too. There's something different in the air today. Something older than weather, something that's been waiting. You light a candle, one you've never lit before. The label reads, "When the wind carries names." The scent is crisp and strange juniper and frost and something floral that refuses to be pinned down. It smells like walking into a memory and realizing it's been waiting for you the whole time. Jiwon closes his eyes when he smells it, then opens them slowly. I think we're close, he says. You nod again. Neither of you says to what, but the truth of it sits between you like breath on glass. Later that afternoon, you go walking. The town is quiet under the snow. Most shops are closed. Lights burn behind curtains. Chimneys puff gently into the gray sky. Jiwon's arm brushes yours with every step. Neither of you pulls away. You follow the coast road, past the stone library, past the abandoned greenhouse, past the little overlook where you sometimes take your tea on warmer days. And then without thinking, you both stop. There, tucked between two frost-covered trees, is the old train station. It's been closed for years, the tracks overgrown, the bench splintered, but you'd know it anywhere. It's the bench from the photo. It's the one from the dream. It's the one from before. You walk to it slowly. The snow crunches under your boots. Jiwon follows behind, silent. You sit. The air smells like salt and candle smoke and forgotten things. Jiwon crouches beside you, brushing snow from the wood, and that's when he sees it. A tiny carving in the armrest. Barely there. Worn with time. 2 initials. H plus J. Your breath catches. I think we were here, he says softly. Really here, a long time ago. You nod, fingers tracing the shape of the letters. Then beneath the bench you notice something buried. A stone, flat, deliberately placed. You brush snow from it, heart thudding. And underneath, wrapped in oilcloth and time, is a small wooden box. Jiwon kneels beside you. You unwrap it together. Inside is a candle, round, simple, the wax a pale, almost translucent blue. The tag has nearly worn away, but the ink holds. If you ever forget, light this together. You don't speak. You just hold it between you and watch as the snow begins to fall again, soft and soundless, like it's blessing the moment. Back at the shop, You light it without ceremony. The flame is small at first, then steady. The scent is unlike anything you've ever blended, clean and earthy and soft. It smells like snow-covered books and paper cranes and the quiet stretch of years, like letters that never made it to the post, like promises spoken under breath. Jiwon sits across from you, his eyes reflecting the flame. You close yours, and the dream begins. You are somewhere else. Not the shop, not your home. A room, small and warm, wooden walls, a fireplace, shelves filled with notebooks, and in the middle, a table, set for two. He's there. Jiwon, but not the Jiwon beside you now. Younger, maybe, or just softer. There's weariness in his eyes, but also hope. You're seated across from him, wearing a shawl you almost recognize. Your hands are clasped around a teacup. You're smiling. There's laughter in the dream, real quiet laughter. And then you speak. If we ever forget, let's make a pact. He tilts his head. A pact? You nod. To find each other again, to remember, even if it takes lifetimes. He smiles, and the smile is so familiar you ache in your sleep. What should we call it? He asks. You lift a candle between you, and you say, the Winter Pact, because even in the coldest season there's still a flame. You wake with tears drying on your skin. Jiwon is already awake, staring at the now extinguished candle. He doesn't speak. He doesn't need to. You rise and sit beside him. Your shoulders touch, and together you whisper the words again, like an old song, like a vow. Even in the coldest season there's still a flame. The candle from the train station doesn't burn again. You try to relight it the next night, hoping to revisit the dream, hoping to see the wooden room, the fireplace, the pact spoken between two voices you somehow recognize as your own. But when the match touches the wick, it doesn't catch. Not even a flicker. Jiwon tries too. He uses a different match, a different lighter, a different hope. Nothing. It was meant to burn once, he says quietly. You nod, but your hands linger near the glass. The wax has cooled into a flat, perfect pool, unbroken, pale as moonlight. You touch the rim of the jar and close your eyes. You can still feel it. The warmth, the weight, the words you spoke without understanding why they were already in your mouth. The Winter Pact, a promise too old to remember making, a vow too deep to forget. You keep the candle on a shelf near your bed now. It doesn't light, but it still glows. Somehow, the snow stays for days. The town becomes a hushed version of itself. Footprints in the street, frost curling over shutters, chimneys whispering secrets into the gray sky. You and Jiwon begin to fall into rhythm. You open the shop together most mornings. He flips the sign while you grind herbs. He boils water while you count wicks. You work without needing to speak, and that too becomes its own language. He's quiet when he concentrates, gentle when he moves. Sometimes he brushes your shoulder on his way to the storeroom. Sometimes he lingers too long beside you when you're blending scent. And every time, your pulse answers like a match being struck in the dark. The shop begins to change, almost without your permission. You catch yourself humming again. You start labeling jars with names like First Light on Stone and The Way You Look When You Remember. Names that don't sell but speak. Candles you would have made once, then hidden in the back room. Now, you leave them out in plain sight. Customers don't ask questions. Maybe they feel the shift too. One morning, Jiwon finds an old ledger in the bottom drawer of your desk. It's bound in navy cloth and sealed with a wax imprint shaped like a fern. You've seen it before, but you've never opened it. Do you mind? He asks. You shake your head. Inside, it's full of sketches, maps, symbols you half recognize, candle diagrams, weather notations, wax formulas paired with strange lines of poetry. Some pages are written in your hand, others aren't. This doesn't look like just a recipe book, G1 murmurs, flipping slowly. No, you whisper, it's something else. You reach for the page with your name, Ha'un, scrawled beneath a drawing of a door that opens into light, and next to it a single line. If she forgets, take her to the library. Your breath stills. You glance at Ji-won. I think we need to go back, you say. To the library, he asks. You nod. There's something there I didn't remember until just now. The library is older than the sea. That's what people say, anyway. It sits at the edge of town, half swallowed by ivy, its stone steps worn smooth by decades of boots and sandals and bare feet on summer afternoons. Most people forget it exists. Some claim it only opens for certain people. You haven't been there in years. But when you place your hand on the front door, it swings open without a sound. The warmth inside surprises you. It smells of paper, wood, dust, and time layered and soft, like a sweater pulled from an old trunk. The windows are tall, the shelves taller, and the back rooms stretch on farther than you ever remembered. You wander together, you don't speak. There's no need. And then you find it, tucked in a corner room with a warped floor and stained glass window, a table, 2 chairs, and beneath one leg of the table, a loose floorboard. Your hand trembles as you lift it. Inside is a box, wooden, plain, hinged with brass. You open it slowly. Inside, a stack of letters, all in your handwriting, all addressed the same way. To you, if you're still looking. You pick one, the top envelope. It smells like pine and lavender. The paper is thick, heavy with something unspoken. You read it aloud. You always said we'd lose each other again. I hated that you were right. I hated that I let it happen. But if you're reading this, it means you came back. It means something inside you still believes. We made a pact in the winter, a flame that wouldn't die, even if we did. This is your reminder. We are not starting over. We are continuing. We are continuing until we don't have to remember anymore because we never forget again. You fold the letter slowly. Ji-won says nothing, just reaches for your hand. You give it freely. That night, back in the shop, you light a new candle. This one is for you. You name it Wax and Flame, Time and Tide. It smells like driftwood and ink, like old paper and fresh air, like memory in its truest form, not perfect, not sharp, but real. Ji-won curls beside you on the small couch in the front room. The candle flickers between you, and for the first time you say it. I think I love you, you whisper. He doesn't look startled. He doesn't rush to answer. He just moves a little closer, presses his forehead to yours. I think I always have, he murmurs. The candle you named Wax and Flame, Time and Tide burns slowly, deliberately. It doesn't flicker. It breathes, as if it knows it's being watched, as if it, too, remembers what it was made for. The flame reflects in the window beside you, casting 2 quiet shadows, yours and Ji-won's, curled together on the front room couch of the candle shop. You sip your tea. He holds a book, open to the same page it's been on for the last half hour. Neither of you speaks. Neither of you moves. You've grown used to the silence now. It doesn't hang between you like it used to. It rests, soft and trusted, like a familiar quilt pulled over 2 sleeping bodies. The candle burns low by the time you rise. You tuck the book back on the shelf. Ji-won follows behind you, one hand grazing your back lightly, fingertips slipping into the fold of your sweater at your hip. He doesn't pull, just rests there, warm and sure. You walk into the back room together. The smell of wax is everywhere, of cedar, rose hips, smoke, and orange peel. The room feels full, brimming with things you've known and things you've only just remembered. The ledger still lies open on the work table, pages curling at the corners like they, too, are tired from dreaming. That's when you notice it. A candle you didn't place there. It sits in the very center of the work table, plain and pale in a narrow glass jar. Not blue, like the one from the train station, not pink like the garden dreams, just quiet. Its label is a strip of linen, wrapped around once and tied with twine. No scent is written, only a single line scrawled in your hand. When you know you'll stay, your breath catches. You pick it up. The wax inside is an unfamiliar color, almost translucent, like ice caught mid-melt, holding the shape of something you can't quite see. You run your thumb along the twine. Ji-won steps beside you. Is it one of yours? You nod, slowly, but I don't remember making it. He lifts it from your hands and turns it over once in his palms. Then he places it gently on the shelf beside the others. Not tucked away, not hidden, waiting. You both understand what it means. Neither of you says it, but you don't light it. Not yet. That night, your sleep is light. Your dreams are thin and wandering. They don't take you anywhere. They don't show you anything. Just the flicker of places you've already been. The bench, the bookstore, the bridge with the promise. You wake before dawn. Ji-won still sleeps, breathing softly, arm thrown carelessly over your side. You watch him for a while, your chest too full of something unnameable. Then you rise, wrap yourself in a cardigan, and move into the shop. The snow outside is melting. You can hear Itany rivers dripping off rooftops and pooling at the edge of the street. A thaw, a shift. You sit at the counter with the candle still unlit between your hands. When you know, you'll stay. It doesn't feel like a warning. It feels like a choice. A final one. When Ji-won finds you there, he doesn't speak. He just sits beside you, folds his hands and waits. You don't look at him. Instead, you ask, what if it shows us everything? He doesn't flinch. Then we finally know. You nod, still staring at the wick. What if it changes things? He pauses, then answers honestly. Then we choose what comes next. You breathe in slowly and reach for the matchbox. The candle lights instantly. The scent is so subtle, it takes a moment to name. Not sweet, not floral, just warmth. Soft wood, old paper, skin, the hollow where a shoulder meets a collarbone. A scent of closeness, of belonging. The dream comes fast. This time it's not a single memory. It's all of them. Like glass slides in an old projector clattering into place, one after another, each showing a piece of you, a version of him, a place that once mattered. A train platform, a library desk, a garden flooded in moonlight, a paper crane folded by candlelight, a storm you waited out in a bookstore. Each dream slips into the next with the ease of water. Each moment is quiet, but full. Each memory belongs to you, and to him. You see it now, how many times you've found each other, how many lives, how many winters. You see the letter you wrote but never sent, the poem he left folded into your coat pocket, the way your hands always reached before your mouth could speak. You see every goodbye. You see every return. You see yourself, now standing in the candle shop, hands trembling over a jar that smells like home, like him, like all the things you never said out loud. And then, you wake. The candle still burns. Barely. You're crying. Not in the painful way. In the way that comes when something finally lands. When you've been holding your breath for a very long time and you finally let go. Ji-won is there. He pulls you close without a word. You cry into his shoulder, and then you say it, not loudly, just enough. I know now. He doesn't ask what. You don't explain. You just curl into him and stay. The next morning, the candle is gone. Not gone in the way things vanish, gone in the way something completes its purpose and gently steps aside. There's no wax left in the jar, no wick, just the faint scent lingering in the air, clinging to your collar, resting at the edge of your dreams like a memory that no longer needs reminding. You and Jiwon don't talk about it. You don't need to. The silence between you now isn't made of hesitation or unspoken things. It's made of knowing. You stay curled beside him on the couch, legs tucked under, your face resting against the space where his shoulder meets his chest. His hand moves gently through your hair. Neither of you reaches for tea. Neither of you checks the time. Time has become irrelevant. You know, and he knows. And that changes everything quietly. You open the shop early that day, just once. Not because you want more business, not because anything has changed outside, but because everything has changed inside. You flip the sign before the light fully reaches the streets. Jiwon sweeps the front step while you brew the first pot of tea. You light 2 candles, ordinary ones, for the first time in weeks, and the scent of honey and white cedar fills the room. It smells like beginnings. The first customer walks in just as you place the tea tray on the counter. It's a woman you've seen once or twice older, wrapped in a wool coat, always peering in from the window but never entering. Today, she steps in like someone finally answering a letter she wrote to herself a long time ago. She breathes deeply. "It smells like the season changed in here," she murmurs. You smile. Maybe it did. She spends a long time looking at the shelves, not touching, just scanning with her eyes. Then she picks up a small candle labeled "This morning feels different" and holds it for a long moment. When she brings it to the counter, her hands are trembling. "I don't know what this is," she says, "but I feel like I needed it." You nod gently. "Then it's yours." She doesn't ask for a receipt. As the day goes on, more people wander in. Not many, just enough. They leave slower than they arrive. G1 takes over, restocking the shelves. You rearrange the front table. At one point, you both reach for the same jar, and your fingers touch, and something flickers between you. Not a spark. Not anymore. What flickers now is steady, warm, like a lantern lit in a house where someone is always waiting. Later, you find a notebook on the floor beneath the counter. It's one of Ji-won's. You recognize his writing immediately, looping, slightly tilted, always a little more careful on the left edge of the page. You flip it open. The first few pages are sketches of you. Nothing exact, just pieces. Your hands lighting a candle. The curve of your back as you lean over a teacup. The corner of your smile. And below one drawing, a single line. The way she looks when she's remembering, even when she doesn't know it. You press your hand to the page and close your eyes. You've never felt more known. That night, Ji-won cooks. He insists on it, says he remembers a dish from one of his dreams, rice with mushrooms and ginger and something savory you can't pronounce. The kitchen fills with steam and soft jazz humming through the radio. You sit on the counter, feet swinging, watching him move. You didn't know how much you needed this. The quiet domesticity of it, the ease, the way he hums softly under his breath, the way he glances back at you to make sure you're still watching. You are. You don't stop. He serves you with a little bow. You eat together at the small table near the window. The food tastes like something you've never had but have always missed. "I think I cooked this for you once," he says between bites, "in a life where we had a yellow kitchen and a clock that never worked." You smile. "I think we always had a kitchen like that," you reply, "even if we didn't know it." After dinner, you wash the dishes together. You hand him the towel without asking. He dries and puts everything away like he's always lived here. You suppose he has. That evening, as night folds itself over the rooftops like a blanket, you sit together on the back steps of the shop. You're wrapped in a knit blanket. Ji-won presses his shoulder into yours. The stars are out, sharp and soft and scattered. You name the ones you know. He listens quietly, nodding, occasionally tracing a shape in the sky. Then he speaks. I've been thinking. You hum softly. About staying. You turn toward him. I mean, really staying. Your breath catches. I think I'm supposed to be here, he says, not just in the shop, but with you, in this life, in this place. You don't answer right away. You reach for his hand, curl your fingers into his, and say, then stay. It's that simple. You don't need a ceremony. You don't need a declaration. You just need this. You need him here, and now he is. You wake to light, not bright sunlight, not the sharp gold of day, but soft morning light, the kind that slips around curtains, slow and golden, as if it's not entirely sure it's welcome. You stretch beneath the blankets. Your body aches in the best way, the way it does after deep sleep and something that feels like peace. Beside you, Ji-won is still breathing evenly. You don't move. You just lie there for a while, staring at the ceiling, watching the light make shapes on the wall. The candle you lit last night when you know you'll stay is still on the windowsill. It's empty, cold, but the jar glows faintly, as if remembering the flame. You smile, and for once you don't feel the urge to reach for your journal. You don't need to write it down. You remember. The shop opens late today. On purpose. You and Ji-won walk into town hand in hand, stopping for coffee, watching the gulls squabble near the docks, pointing out small things, pebbles shaped like hearts, frost on window panes, a cat curled under a bench like a punctuation mark. You pass a child holding a balloon and he says, that red is exactly the color of your dream coat. You laugh. You remember the coat? I remember everything, he says. You believe him. When you return, a customer is waiting outside. A man you've never seen before, young, distracted, nervous in a way that feels familiar. He hesitates as you approach. Are you the candle lady? He asks. You glance at Ji-won, who only raises an eyebrow and steps aside. I suppose I am, you reply. The man steps inside cautiously, as though the air might be heavier in here. He walks slowly along the shelves. His eyes trail over each label. You see him pause at, if you're looking, I'm still here. Then again, at this morning feels different. Finally, he stops in front of a candle you haven't noticed in days. It's small, green glass. You don't remember placing it there. There's no price tag. The label simply reads, to the one who keeps forgetting. He picks it up and turns to you. Does it work? He asks. You look at Ji-won again. Then you say, only if it's yours. The man thinks for a long moment, then nods. I'll take it. You wrap it gently in tissue and linen twine. You don't include a receipt. Some stories don't need proof. When he leaves, the door closes slowly behind him. The bell doesn't ring. That night, you and Ji-won sit at the back table, working on the new ledger. This one isn't like the others. It's neater, less frantic. You're not scrambling to remember anymore. You're simply recording, documenting the candles that remain, the ones that have already served their purpose, the ones that still hum gently on the shelves, waiting for someone to walk in and know them. You write down titles as they come to you. Left behind on a rainy platform. The words I meant to say. A room will recognize. Ji-won suggests one. The candle that stayed lit. You glance at him. Which one is that? He smiles. This one. He points to the space between you, to the quiet flicker in your chest, the warmth in your hand, the steady presence of something that has no wick, no wax but still burns. You understand. You write it down, then underline it once. Later, you find a note tucked inside the ledger. You didn't put it there. It's in your handwriting. It simply says, You don't have to remember everything. You just have to stay. You slip it into your pocket, not for safekeeping, but for rereading. Somewhere around midnight, Jiwon pulls you onto the dance floor that doesn't exist. There's no music, no crowd, just the back room of the shop, the faint hum of candlelight, and your laughter as he twirls you once, twice, then pulls you in until your foreheads rest together. You don't speak, you just breathe. And when he finally whispers, "I'm not going anywhere," you believe it so deeply that your knees almost give out. You stay pressed together, swaying in time with a rhythm older than either of you, a rhythm you were born remembering and have spent every lifetime trying to find again. And now you have. And now you don't let go. Weeks pass. Snow melts. The sea rises again. The shop changes, grows quieter, then busier, then softer again. You start seeing familiar faces, people who return, holding empty jars, asking if there's just one more. You always smile. You always nod. Sometimes the exact right candle is already waiting on the shelf. Other times, you make it from scratch, your hands moving by instinct. You stop second-guessing the pull in your chest. You stop labeling things with doubt. Jiwon stays. He moves into the apartment upstairs. You pretend there was ever a question of him living anywhere else. He folds his clothes next to yours. His sketchbooks line your shelves. His laughter fills your kitchen. He becomes part of the space like he was carved into it from the beginning. You don't say the word fate. You don't need to. You say home, and it means the same thing. One evening, long after the shop has closed, you place a new candle on the front shelf. No name, no tag, just warmth. It smells like summer and rain, like beginning again, like memory that doesn't ache anymore. Jiwon watches you do it. He doesn't ask what it's for. But later, as you both curl under the blanket near the counter, he says softly, "You're leaving a light, aren't you?" You nod against his shoulder. "For someone else." He kisses the top of your head. "They'll find it," he says. And somehow you know he's right. Outside, the wind stirs gently. The world turns. And inside your shop, between the jars, the shelves, the books, and the notebooks left half-filled on candle glows long after the others go dark. It flickers, then steadies, then stays lit. Just like you, just like him, just like all the promises you've ever made to each other in every version of this life.